Hi students, how are you? So we were discussing about diseases and we saw that there are infectious diseases and non-infectious disease, and the infectious diseases are caused by microorganisms, and we learn about the diseases that are caused by these microorganisms, how they enter into our body, means of spread of these diseases and all. And today we can study about the principles of treatment. Principles of treatment. Okay, so how we can treat the disease. So what all do you do when you feel you are sick? Immediately you won't take medicines. You may go and take rest, or you may sleep for some time. So after taking some rest, you may feel better also. But always this is not the case. Sometimes we need treatment and medicines. And we can see that there are two ways to treat an infectious disease. And one is to reduce the effects of the disease, and the second way is to kill the cause of the disease. So which are the two ways? One way is to reduce the effects of the disease, and the second way is to kill the cause of the disease. Kill the cause of the disease means to kill the microorganism. So these are the two ways of treatment. So to reduce the effects of the disease means what we are doing here, we can provide treatment that will reduce the symptoms of the disease. So for diseases there will be some symptoms like fever, loose motion and all. So in this method we are giving treatment to reduce that symptoms of the disease. So after that treatment, we may feel better. What happens? The microorganism will not go away from our body, and we will not be cured from the disease. We may feel better, but disease is not cured. So which method is better? To reduce the effects or to kill the microorganism? Second method is better. To kill the cause of the disease or to kill the microorganism. So to get complete cure, we should follow the second way. Which is the second way? To kill the microorganism. So how do we kill the microorganism? One way is to use some medicines that kill the microorganisms. And we have already discussed about microorganisms, and we saw that they are classified into different categories like virus, bacteria, fungus, protozoa and all. Then what we study? We find that each of these groups of organisms will have some essential biochemical life process which is peculiar to that group and not shared with other groups. So we saw that biochemical processes in bacteria is completely different from the biochemical processes that is taking place in protozoa that we have studied. So these pathways will not be used by us also. We are also not using the same pathways, or we don't have the pathways that is used by bacteria. So when we are taking medicines that will block the pathways in bacteria, that medicines will not affect our body because we have some other pathways. So for example, our cells may make new substances by a mechanism that is different from that used by bacteria. So when we are using a medicine to block a pathway in bacteria, that medicine will not block the pathways in our body. Why? Because we have some other pathways. So that medicines will not affect our cell. So now we have some drugs that blocks the pathways of bacteria without affecting our cells. And this is how the antibiotics are working that we have discussed in last class. So there are drugs that are used for killing bacteria, protozoa and all. But making antiviral medicines is harder than making antibacterial medicines. Why? This also we have discussed. What is the reason? Because viruses have only a few biochemical mechanisms of their own. Then how they grow? When they enter our cells, they use our cell machinery for their life processes. So they have only less number of life processes of their own. So that is a limitation. So due to that, it is difficult to make antiviral medicines. But so there are so many limitations. Then also we can see that there are so many effective antiviral medicines also. And nowadays we are controlling HIV infection also to some extent. So now we have succeeded in making some antiviral drugs also. Okay, so which are the principles of treatment? Two ways are there. One is to reduce the effects of the disease. That is, treatment is given to reduce the symptoms of the disease. And the second way is to kill the cause of the disease, or to kill the microorganism that causes the disease. So second method is better. And how we can kill the microorganism? We can use some medicines for killing the microorganisms. So how the medicines kill the microorganisms? The medicines are used, or they are blocking the pathways that is taking place in the body of the microorganisms. So when the pathways are blocked, they can't grow and they will die. And it is since viruses have only little life processes, because they are using our own cell machinery for their work, or they are using the cell of the host. So they have only less number of life process. So it is difficult to block the pathways of viruses. So making antiviral medicines are harder than making antibacterial medicines also. Okay, clear now?